Hello everyone, my name is Bagas Pragiwaka and I'm from Yogyakarta State University. Today in this video I'm going to review a book. The title is Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. The genre is fiction, action and adventure. So let's get started. The summary is Axel, the enthusiastic and excitable nephew of illustrious professor and mineralogist Otto Lidenberg, narrates the tale of the journey to the center of the earth. On May 24, in 1863, Lidenberg consulted a recently acquired runic manuscript of the 12th century and discovered an encrypted message from 16th century Icelandic alchemist Arne Sarnusum. Lidenberg is excited and believes that Sarnusum wants to share a scientific discovery. The professor wants to decipher the message but has trouble doing it. So, luckily, Axel managed to decrypt the document. Arne Sarnusum reports that traveler who climbs on the crater of Snæfell's volcano can get into the center of the earth. He apparently undertook the journey himself. Axel knows it. His uncle will want to make a similar journey and decide not to tell him but to find eventually gives in. Lidenberg immediately starts planning this journey and tells his nephew to come along as well. Axel is reluctant until his fiancée Grauben, his uncle's ward, tell him that he ought to make the excursion. Lidenberg and Axel leave Hamburg and travel to Iceland. In Reykjavik, they hire a guide named Hans, a placid, stoic man of large size. The three of them climb the volcano crater and find slope downward. They manage to penetrate the depths of the earth. When they reach a crossroad, Lidenberg first chooses the wrong route. The initial path is a dead and they are forced to turn back. Meanwhile, their supply of water runs out and it seems the expedition is doomed to fail. Throughout the stage, Axel is exceedingly anxious and pessimistic. He is intrigued, though, that he and his fellow adventurers seem to venturing back into the prehistoric past in terms of geology. Hans learns his companions to give in search of water. He finds a source that flows through the wall of a cliff and leads the other there. After Hans drills a hole in the wall, a small brook flows forth. This body is water named after Hans. At one point at this journey, Axel is separated from his uncle and guide. He despairs that he will die of hunger and thirst in the dark cavern. Thankfully, the unauditory trick allows them to reconnect. The travelers soon come to the shore of underground sea. They see huge mushrooms, which are identified as the giant champignons. In addition, there are more forms of fungi and bizarre plants. The explorers know that they have to cross the sea to do it, so the sea is much larger than expected. On their watery road, they see a battle between massive ancient creatures, the ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs. As the journey continues, the weather shifts and massive storm begins. The adventurers are tossed about onto the waves, thunder and lightning sound and spark all around. An electric ball alights on the explorer's raft and flames burns out. They only survive by lashing themselves down. Finally, the storm quiets and deposits Axel and the others on the other side of the sea. It's not long, though, before the compass reveals that they actually ended up on the same place where whence they began. Lidenberg is first enraged, but then cheerfully decides to plow onward. Axel is consistently amazed at his uncle's stubbornness and pluck and wishes that they could just go home. Before leaving though, the adventurers explore this park of the shore and discover incredible fossil specimens from the earliest days of planetary life. They even find entire preserved human bodies. When they wander into tertiary period of incredible foliage, they catch sight of mastodon and a 12-foot man. Not wanting to be detected, Axel and his companion flee quickly. They also discover a rusted knife and markings on a rock. Sarnosum was there and had found the road to the center. It is a twist of fate that the storm actually brought the expedition back to where it needed to be. Axel and his companions continue along Sarnosum path, but are stopped by a huge boulder that must have lodged in the passageways sometime between his journey and their own. Now flushed with zeal of the journey, Axel suggests using firepower to blow an opening. The explorers set this plan in motion and wait on their raft. After the explosion occurs, Axel, his uncle, and Hans realize that they create disruption. The entire sea goes rushing through the aperture and their three men are carried wildly along the waves. This experience is terrifying. They almost perish. After a time, they realize crumble around them. Lidenberg is not frightened and knows that this eruption is what will take them to the surface of the earth. The raft tumbles out of the volcano Etna and Stromboli, a site in the middle of Mediterranean. Mercifully, all three men survive and then find themselves in a lush green environment. They eat fruit and drink from a stream. Stromboli fishermen assume that the subterranean explorer have survived a shipwreck and helped them to get home. After his safe return, Lidenberg becomes famous and renowned for his narrative for lectures in his journey. Okay, so here is my review about this book. In my opinion, after I read it, the book is really amazed me about a new world and lies inside our earth. The story is a lot of action scenes that make me addicted to this book. But the complication problem is too long that makes story a little bit boring in a certain part. But this book is still fun to read and is a suspenseful story and also had a happy ending. The classic work of fiction, one of the father's science fiction genre, had lasted nearly 150 years for a reason. Exciting and brilliantly inventive, even visionary. Which new version viewers may be interested in one of the several translations of a classic to your child, but in this case, all the most experienced readers are going to find it very heavy glowing. Pushing something like this in children before they are ready to it can often spoil it for them forever. Verne was writing in an earlier era for a mostly adult audience, presumed if they were literate enough to be reading novels for pleasure, to be very well educated. The vocabulary is advanced, the description lengthy, and the scientific and literary reference removed from the experience of most young readers. Experienced teens will enjoy it, and younger experienced listeners may enjoy hearing it and read it by an adult with a patience to stop often the explanation. Younger readers will do better to look for one of the many adaptations, illustrated, comic, and graphic novel version, retellings, condensed, abridged, and edit version, and movies novelization. The comparison, the novel and films, and my opinion at first, I thought the film was bad, but turns out I actually enjoyed it. The movie is fun and brilliant summer movie way, but it was also surprisingly faithful modern adaptation of the Jules Verne novel. While the story was updated to the present day, it is actually parallel to the book pretty closely. An arrogant, single-minded scientist drags his nephew along to Iceland on a journey to do no one else he believes in, and hires a local guide to accompany them into extinct volcano. It is completely revised with modern touch and greater use of Hollywoodism adaptation, and I got a feeling that the director was actually fond of Verne's novel and was giving to affection tribute. And though most adventures and action books these days rely on shootout and car chase and to keep reader interested, Jules Verne managed to grip using the old-fashioned ways of mystery and suspense. It's also clear that he did heaps of research before writing his book. The imagination he puts into along his knowledge of science and makes compelling reading. The epic adventures begins when enthusiastic geology professor Otto Lidenberg discovers old documents which he believes are instructions on getting the center of the earth. Along with his whiskeyed nephew, Axel Lidenberg, he discovered the key on the document and finds the location of the crater. The pack any and every survival equipment can find, but it will be enough for a perilous journey ahead. Along with estimated quiet Icelandic guide Hans, Otto and Axel embark on a fantastical and dangerous journey down volcanic tubes and volcano craters. The journey is not for the faint at heart. Who knows that what creatures lurk down there? What will supplies last? How will they get back to the surface? Will they ever get back to the surface? They must find their way through a maze and endless sea, as well as many others will get to going it, but when it does, it becomes one of you cannot put down. It has advanced vocabulary, many scientific theories, and overall may be a little hard to understand for the rich children below 12 or 13 years old. And I will rate this book 8, 8 until 10. And that's it for the review that I made. Thank you for watching this video and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to my channel. Okay, and see you next time.